This video is for CSC200 2D game programming. The content of the video is how to replace our little placeholders of squares and triangles and circles that we've been working with to replace those with actual graphics. Our starting point is on the screen. This is an earlier version of our game that we've been working on. And when this thing plays, which let's see if it's going to, there we go. Well, let's see, it tried, so let's go one more time. Okay, and notice that we do have bullets and we do have bombs and we do have a barrier. So we're wanting to replace the square, the triangle, these little bombs that are falling, the bullets that are being shot. All of those we want to replace with some actual graphics. So to start with, let's take a look at our assets folder. And I have several folders and I'm trying to keep everything organized. Shapes folder has our basic shapes in it that we have been working with. And I have added a graphics folder, which is where we will place our graphics that we are going to be using. Okay, so this is our starting point. Next thing we need is to obtain some graphics. So let me share the screen where I went and found some graphics. Not particularly promoting this, although that's a byproduct of me using them. But this is a place where I just did a Google search. This is where I wound up. They have nice items that are for free. Of course, this is their advertisement that they hope you will come in now and actually buy some things from them later. You can do the free download. It will require you to create an account with them, but it doesn't require a credit card or anything, so you can actually download them for free. When you download them, they will come down as a zip file. Okay, that zip file has been unzipped into a location of my choice, and the location that I unzipped it into is into my Unity projects folder. Let me share that screen with you. Okay, and these three, the PNG, and PSD folders are what came from the download. For this particular video, I'm not trying to make use of any animations, so I'll go into this, and it contains explosions, shots, and ships that can be used. So you go through and select whichever one you want, such as, let's see, ship 3. And when you take a look at it, that is not very large. So I can bring it in and just enlarge that. And you can get a clue as to what the ship looks like. If you don't like that one, there are 6 ships that are out there. Okay, so the one that I will make use of for the player is going to be ship 4. So on ship 4, I can open it up and look at it, but there's going to be some changes I probably want to make. So I have gone ahead and opened this with GIMP. So let me share that screen. GIMP. This one will do. Okay. And on this screen, you can see that this one is still fairly small. Well, with GIMP, one of the things that you can do is you can increase the size. So I'm going to take it up as large as I can. Now then, we see the ship's looking okay. It points up and down, so that'll be a good player ship to work with. But the problem is I need this to be a transparent background, and it is not. So not that tough to do in this particular case. Since we are working with GIMP, I'll use the magic selection wand and select everything in here that is white. Let's see, did we get it selected? Yes, we did. Okay, and there's nothing really that's blocked out that I'd have to go in. I don't want to change any of the stuff in here white. So we'll go with the outline. Just hit the delete key, and that pretty much gets rid of it. So at this point, this ship is now ready for me to actually use. So I will come through and I will file. And to get this, if I do a save on this, it saves it as a GIMP file, not as a usable export. So this is going to be a PNG file. So I'll export as, and it says, okay, where do you want to export? And well, here's our folder. So let's go back up, all right, into Unity projects. I want to go into, the one I'm using is Space Invaders 3. I want to go into the assets folder, and I want this little guy to wind up in the graphics folder in the assets. You can see I've already placed everything else that I'm going to work with there. And I'll change the name of this from ship 6 to player ship. And this is the one I'll use for my player ship there. So I'll go ahead and export this. Let's see what comes up next. Oh, here we go. Here are all of the options on this. I'll just take, I'll change this one. Since it is so small, I don't particularly care to have any kind of compression on this. And I'll just go ahead and export. All right, so that has now been exported. Let's go into Unity. And in Unity, if I will go take a look in my graphics folder, there is the player ship. And so that's how we import. And I've gone through the various things that downloaded with that file. I pulled out something to use for an enemy ship. There's an enemy bomb, and there's a player bullet. And pretty much all of these I had to go through and do a little bit of something in GIMP to get it exactly like I wanted here. But right now, we're in pretty good shape. So again, we're trying to replace these particular items. So let's go in, let's start with player. And so I'll select player, and I'm being careful not to double click right now, by the way, because that I want to keep my little graphics down here viewable. And let's see, right now, the sprite renderer for a player is using my shape that I had for player. Well, I want player to be replaced with player ship. And that shows up like that. Now let me do the same thing for enemy. Okay, under enemy, the sprite for enemy is what was that square I believe I had up there for enemy. Well, I'll replace that with my enemy ship. And that change has now occurred. And if I just go take a look real quick at what's this, let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. That would be real good. Let's see, share. Yes, I do need to be sharing Space Invaders. Okay, so apologies on that. All right, so let me go back and step through. Here are the various items. Here's the player ship. Here is the enemy ship, enemy bomb, player bullet. And what we had up here that I didn't show you, let's see, we're on enemy, so I'll go back to enemy. And our sprites were in these shapes. And this was the shape of my enemy. And that was right there for the sprite that was being used. And it's going to be the same thing for the player. The player was this particular sprite. Okay, and that's where we started with on this. So, okay, now then I'll go back into the graphics. And there's our pictures that we have downloaded, modified if we needed to, placed out here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we're all there. So let me go start with player. And when I select player, the sprite right now is the graphic in the shapes that we were using. So the shape that we have for the player is that triangle. Well, I have this player ship to use instead. So I'm just simply going to click and drag and pull that over. And that replaces the triangle with this particular graphic. Now for the enemy, this is going to be the same thing. Now, just so that you can see there's a different way to do things, there's a little bullseye right here. And when you click on it, it'll come through and pull up all of the various things that you could possibly use. And you can just select from there if you would like to. So yeah, you can do that. On this one, I just got it sitting right here. So I'm just going to click and drag it over and replace the square with an enemy ship. Okay, now then that's where we were. And want you to see what this looks like now. So we'll try to play the game here. And there goes the enemy ship flying by. Bombs are looking a little funky there. This one's looking pretty good for the player. course, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to hit that smaller object up there. And since this is an early part of the game, we do not have collisions enabled. All right, so again, we're just trying to replace these graphics. Well, next thing up, I would like to replace these bombs from just what they are now to the graphics that we pulled in. So let me stop this. Okay, and if I go back and look at the shapes, okay, those are here. All right, if I go over here to try to place it, well, what happened? They're not here. Well, the reason they're not here is because we have created those as prefabs that we instantiate with our code. So I'm going to go into the prefabs folder. Ah, there we are. Okay, so if I take enemy bullet, okay, it's using this bullet shape. Okay, so let me go into my graphics now. Again, being careful not to double click so I don't lose this. And my enemy bomb, which is, I think this version of the game refers to them as enemy bullets. Well, there we go. There's that enemy bomb. Now let's go back to the prefabs and select the player bullet. Notice this has changed for us. Okay, and on player bullet, go back into graphics, and here is the player bullet that we'll be using now. All right, so I made those changes. Let's go take a look at the game again and see what it looks like with those changes. Okay, so now then we have, if he ever drops another bomb, there we go, okay. And the player bullets, kind of hard to see, but they're there. And so if you would like something a little bit larger, well, if I would like the player bullets to be a little bit larger, let me go show you what I can do about that. All right, so there's the player bullet. Whoop, sorry, hit the wrong button again. Okay, there's the player bullet there. So if I click on it, let's see, is that one where I want to see it? Maybe not. Let's go back to the prefabs. And in the prefabs, let's try player bullet again. And scale, we can adjust the scale. Right now, those are a rather small size, so let's change it to 1, 1, and 1 and see what that does when we play the game. Okay, all right, 1, 1, and 1, finally. Let's go back in and start the game up. Okay, and now then, when I fire a bullet, notice those are much larger now and can be seen. Can do the same thing with the bombs if I would like to. I can change their size, make them larger and smaller. So in general, that's the idea of how you change this up to have these particular graphics showing. Stop the game, and I still have not replaced the barrier, so if you'll need to go find something for a barrier, but it's done the same way. Go find the graphic, pull in the graphic. If you need to adjust it, do so with whatever software you are comfortable with. And then once it is complete, add it to the correct folder in the correct directory. And again, you'll do that with a Windows Explorer. And let's take a look at that. Okay, doing a share on Windows Explorer. So someplace, Unity projects, you will find your various projects. You will find where things have been downloaded and unzipped. You make your changes to them. Go to the folder for the game that you're working with. Go into Assets. And you can, if it doesn't exist, you can create it here. Create a new folder called Graphics. And into the Graphics folder, you wish to place these various pieces that you will use. And in the process of replacing the placeholders in your game with these particular items is just that simple. Pull up a player's or the name of whatever you want to alter. Then while that's there, the sprite area is what controls what it looks like. Just simply work around in your folder till you get to the spot that you're looking for, and then you take and click and drag over, and that changes what it looks like on the screen. So actually the changing is the simplest part, finding the graphics that are appropriate, modifying them to make sure they look right in the game. you'll spend more time on that than you will making these changes. And that is how you replace your placeholder with actual graphics.